So today I want to talk a little bit more about how we can use our feelings and our emotions in such a way to help us actually move with the flow of life instead of becoming anxious, overwhelmed, or kind of embedded in our emotional experiences so that we feel like we no longer have control over ourselves, our relationships, and what we want for ourselves in our lives. I'm going to start off with a metaphor that I read from Esther and Jerry Hicks's book called The Astonishing Power of Emotions. And so in this book, they come up with this metaphor, this idea of you being in a canoe, rowing either upstream or flowing downstream. And the stream represents the flow of life. You are actually in disharmony with your spiritual self, your essential self, when you are rowing upstream against the current. When you allow yourself to flow downstream, you are in alignment with your spiritual self, your essence, your soul. Why would you row upstream? Well, because there's something going on in your life that you don't like. I feel like this should be different, and so I'm gonna make it work. We can be successful. We get these big muscles, the harder we row. We might figure a few handy tricks out, on the boat about the best way to go, that kind of thing. But the problem is it's always gonna be a struggle. When you are swimming upstream, you are in contrast, right? You experience a lot of anxiety and negative emotions because you're trying so hard to make something into what it just isn't. We have an essential fear. We have an essential fear of the stream, and we have an essential fear and distrust of ourselves, that we don't actually know the right direction to be going in. Maybe we don't even know what downstream looks like. Now, most people try to calculate the distance from where they are to where they really want to be, right? How much farther do I have to go? How much more do I need to do? How much more weight do I need to lose? How much more money do I need to make? How can I change myself to attract the partner I want? And this is primarily because we are in our physical form in this earthly plane, we're action oriented. But when you try to solve the problem of unhappiness or any other negative emotion, you deploy the mind's most powerful tool, and that is rational critical thinking. And I laugh because sometimes it's not always the most useful tool to deploy. Now, you see yourself as unhappy and you want to be happy. And so what happens is your mind starts to analyze that gap and it tries to figure out the way to bridge it, right? And so to do this, we switch into doing mode. And that's the worst thing for an internal conflict or an unhappy mood, because to analyze the gap between how you are and how you want to be is to become critical of what is in that moment, right? And that's to become critical of everything, because what is the present moment, and that is really all that we have. And so you start asking yourself, what's wrong with me? Why do I keep making the same mistakes? And so suddenly you're not only unhappy, but you're unhappy about being unhappy. What if you just decided to let the unhappiness be? Like, what happens to it then? But if you can try to see your world in terms of energy and vibration and mindset, rather than in terms of time, space, and distance, then your ability to close that gap between where you are and where you want to be is actually a lot more efficient. But even when we understand this, we start to employ action-oriented tendencies. I'm guilty of this myself. Now that I've told you about, let's say, upstream versus downstream thinking, right? When we're trying to row against the current and make it into what we think it should be versus just going with the flow, right? You start to hurry up and you say, how can I get there faster? How do I focus better? I'll try harder, I'll work longer. How do I get downstream? But the thing is that attitude in and of itself will always turn you upstream. And so I want you to try to imagine that this boat doesn't require a motor. It doesn't even need oars. And the belief that there's something for you to do to overcome something automatically sends you upstream. So let's say that you're interested in settling down in a relationship for a while, but you just can't find the right partner. Maybe you date a lot of people, and maybe those people even want to commit to you, but you're just not that interested in them. So over time, you become convinced that you're never going to meet anyone that satisfies your needs, and you don't want to hurt anyone else's feelings either. So you start to think, gosh, wow, this was like a lot easier when I wasn't serious about anything. But you're also pretty certain that if you don't at least try, you're definitely not going to meet someone at all. So you're in a catch-22. It just seems like there's no solution here. your desire for a significant long-term relationship has actually become very strong over time, and that's great. And so while that desire has, via the law of attraction, already created the answer in what Jerry and Esther Hicks call your vibrational escrow, your impatience and your distrust to just allow that to unfold actually has that desire forcing the situation, because you start to fixate on someone and you try to make that person into what it is that you want. And then when you see evidence of that not going well, you start to move upstream, right? You try to make it into what you think it should be, and things just get worse. So while you're preoccupied with whatever you think should be, you're actually missing out on all these other opportunities that are probably flowing to you to give you what you actually want, to what you actually need. So for example, I'll give you a personal example. In my 20s, I was obsessed with an ex-boyfriend. He was not a good boyfriend. He was unfaithful and irresponsible and emotionally immature. He was also unkind and inconsiderate, but I really wanted him, and I thought that he was the one. Because in him, I saw a vulnerability that was really a reflection of all the raw parts of myself. And I would not allow for these raw parts in me. I needed him to carry all those things for me. Because then, in loving him, despite his flaws, I could feel whole. I could feel whole. Because he could be flawed. I couldn't be flawed, but he could be flawed. And if I loved him, then I could be whole, right? And so we'd break up and we'd get back together, and we'd break up and we'd get back together. And, I would conduct love spells and wield my manifesting power to try to pull him back into my life. All the while, there's this little voice in the back of my head like, ooh, be careful what you wish for. And like all these tricks worked, but in the end, the only thing that I kept in my life was someone who made me miserable. And all the time, energy, and effort I wasted over the drama of that relationship actually created a barrier to receiving all the good things that I missed out on, because I just wasn't able to see them. I wasn't open to them. And because I refused to claim my own raw parts, right? And actually, I know I missed out, because I had 2 great guy friends later express to me that they had been interested at that time, but I was too wrapped up in the drama to notice. And now, of course, they are in lovely, long-term, secure marriages. So sometimes what we think we want is actually an obstruction to what the universe is like trying to give you. And more often than not, it is our negative self-stories and limiting beliefs that prevent us from seeing things for what they really are. So in this example, if you could establish, let's say, a less serious or playful approach to your relationships, not trying to make, every person you meet into your life partner, but instead, saying to yourself, this is someone with whom I have the pleasure of sharing a meal, or someone with whom I'm enjoying a conversation, or someone I'm having a good time with today. Then you wouldn't use every moment or this moment as an excuse to defy what actually is, right? What's actually happening for you. If you can manage to be truly lighthearted about dating and spending time with people, then you start to attract other lighthearted people, right? But if you're scrutinizing everyone you meet, is this the one? Is this the one? Are they going to be, my life partner? You're going to attract other people who are really scrutinizing. And ultimately, you're creating a pattern of criticism and judgment and fearfulness, right? Because I'm not going to commit myself to something. I'm not going to, put time, energy, and effort into it unless I have a guarantee. And that, of course, is going to stir up fears and insecurities, and all of a sudden we have the anxious avoidant trap on our hands. If you're having a good time and you feel good right now on this date, in this moment, even though they may not be the person of your dreams, you are still pointed downstream towards what you want. But if you're not having a good time because you're preoccupied by what that person is not versus all the things that they are, you're pointed upstream and you're moving further away from where you actually want to be. And so the goal is to try to experience some relief so that you can start to feel good, right? And downstream thoughts, that's really where it's at. I'm going to give you some examples of downstream thoughts from Esther and Jerry Hicks's book, The Astonishing Power of Emotions, which I recommend you read. Okay, so first, let's say, I don't really need to make every date an audition for a life partner. I like getting to know people for a lot of different reasons. I find the people I date to be interesting in their own unique ways. I'm enjoying exploring my options. My picture of my life partner has grown out of the dates that I've had over the years. Each of them has added to that picture of what I want. Every experience in life adds to the evolution of our ideas and our desires, and there really just is no need to complicate things more than is necessary. So I want to give you one more example. Let's take a look at an example that seems to be going well, but all of a sudden, one of the partners decides that it's not a good fit and ends the relationship. Now, the partner left holding the bag is thinking, well, why did this person leave me? I was thinking and feeling good, positive thoughts, and everything seemed to be going well. I just don't understand what happened. And even worse, they might start to blame themselves. What did I do wrong? How can I be better? How can I get this person back? Now, each partner is going to have their own vibration, right? Their own, what I'll call vibrational escrow. And if you are thinking and feeling good thoughts, the answer to those good feelings and thoughts does exist for you downstream. And if your existing partner was not in truth a match for all that good stuff, then that person is going to move out of your way. And believe me when I tell you this, it is for the best. Let them go. Because otherwise, you wouldn't keep rolling towards a boulder that is obstructing your path, would you? So no, I'm not saying that there's never an opportunity to work on bettering ourselves, each other, and the relationship, through lessons that we learn in contrast in everyday life. But what I am talking about is when the relationship has reached a point where one partner is clearly not interested in continuing the relationship, at least not in a healthy way, and the other partner clings to this fantasy while addicted to what I call attachment hunger or attachment stimulation. So the question that I put out to you, and I would love to hear your answers in the comments below, is how might you turn your upstream thoughts into downstream thoughts? How can you take a look at that maybe contrast or dissonance that you might be feeling, right? When you have a negative thought and your body starts to react, feeling tearful, pressure in your face, pressure in your chest. That thought is incongruent with what your spirit and your essence is trying to tell you and trying to do, which is move downstream. Okay, so how can we change these limiting beliefs, these upstream thoughts into downstream thoughts? This is kind of a cognitive behavioral exercise, okay? So today we're focusing on the upper chakra dominance, the energy in the head. We're using our rational minds to create spaciousness and consciousness around our feelings. In other videos, we're going to use the body through guided meditation, active imagination, and art making to stimulate our wisdom in that way. All right, so let me know in the comments below, let me know your upstream thoughts, and let's see if we can't work with them.